Hello everybody, this is Amanda. How are you doing? Today's the 26th of March 2020 when I'm making this, and I'm going to be doing a look at the situation in India. This is one of a series of videos that I'm doing where we're looking at the virus that's affecting everybody around the world and how individual countries are dealing with that. This particular video for India, I feel as though there's also some guidance to come out in terms of things that we have maybe been forgetting to do to help ourselves. So we'll get to that. I just want to show you what I've got set up here because it's interesting in its own right. Bring that a bit nearer so you can see it. Okay. I was picking up my Ascended Masters deck. This is an old Doreen Virtue deck. It's quite, when you look at it, you realise how many Ascended Masters she chose from a real assortment of world faiths and belief systems. It's actually quite impressive. I think this is actually out of print now, but those of you that have got it, it's actually a great deck. And what struck me looking through it today is there's an awful lot of Hindu gods. So I wanted to bring the energy of them in because one thing I've just been reading up about India, I've never actually had the luck to go to India yet, but I'm sure I will one day. I'm reading that India, the Indian subcontinent, is actually the birthplace of 4 of the world's religions. Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism and Sikhism. Don't know if I'm pronouncing one of those words right. So there's a huge wealth of wisdom, I think, and those of you that have been following me a while, I'm always saying that because I'm always referring back to other videos that I've done, but you will remember that I talked about this wave that was going to be coming from east to west in 2020, bringing in enlightenment and help, but equally a wave linked into the ascension of the planet. And now I'm looking at India and I'm really seeing the huge wealth of information that many people haven't properly tapped into. So sitting here, as I say, we've got some representation in terms of the Hindu faith. These beautiful pictures that I've got here have actually been done for me by somebody called Samuel in Canada, and this one shows Lord Shiva, who I did channel last year with Kali, actually, I seem to recall. But anyway, isn't that a beautiful illustration? So I've been trying to get in touch with Samuel to ask whether I can show these in this video. So I'm hoping he's contacted me by the time this goes out. But Metatron's saying it's okay to show them. So I think maybe an appreciation of this beautiful work. This one obviously linked into the Buddha energy. But anyway, going back to Hinduism, yeah, from Doreen's deck, we've got Ganesh. She's got Lakshmi. Parvati and Vishnu. So they're just going to be there holding space for us whilst I bring through whatever's meant to be brought through today. We've also got Babaji, linked into yoga. I want to mention something about yoga as a practice. I'm struggling to say these names properly, so excuse me. Paramahansa Yoganda, choose peace. And I'm not actually going to attempt to say this, but there, this one as well. So a plethora of help from different belief systems. I haven't got anything here representing Sikhism or Jainism, but including that energy as well. So Metatron led me to an article from the Times of India, which was only The article's only a couple of days old and linked into the virus and how to respond to the virus, what we can do to help ourselves. So I'm just going to read out a few of the things that it talks about here. And it also mentions Ayurvedic practices as well. Ayurvedic practices. Excuse my pronunciation. Don't need to crack me on it. I know it's wrong. Let's just get the information out. That's what's important. Ayurvedic, I think that's how you pronounce it. The importance of massage, okay? I haven't mentioned that with regard to helping ourselves at this time, but we're being reminded from the Indian subcontinent the power of massage. It says here, self-massage in Ayurvedic medicine calms down the nervous system, reduces stress and supports your immunity. So we're being reminded about the power of massage. Inverted yoga poses, which increase the circulation of the lymph and drains the germs from your body. So I will put the link to this article so you can actually read it for yourself. Ayurvedic medicine also talks about avoiding cold, sweet and fried food. Drinking or eating cold foods reduces the digestive fire, which is not great for your overall health. Heavy and fried foods are difficult to digest, so avoid them. Enjoy sweet root vegetables, broths and soup. Also recommended to take warm baths with Epsom salts and warming essential oils. Although I'm not going to recommend that because the guidance on essential oils differs from country to country. Certainly in the UK, they don't recommend that you apply them topically. The importance of sleep to maintain our immunity. Meditation. And then this one that I didn't know, basil. Basil as a herb. It says holy basil or tulsi is a traditional Indian herb which has amazing medicinal and therapeutic benefits. Basil contains strong expectorant and antitussive properties, which work from the root to get rid of phlegm, irritants, and suppress the cough, thereby treating chronic respiratory problems. So basil as a herb. I have to say basil's one of my favourite herbs. I love basil, so I'm not going to have a problem implementing that into my diet. So I've been drawn to this deck of cards, which is the Colette Reid deck, Wisdom of the Hidden Realms. And I'm just going to pull one card for India, linked into the virus. And we've got Queen of the Light, Illumination, Enlightenment and Celebration. And on the bottom of the deck, we've also got the Chess Queen. So we've actually got two cards here representing the energy of the Queen, the ultimate expression of the divine feminine for India. And it's, as I say, I'm very mindful that I haven't been to India. I'm not, completely up on everything that's going on out there. But I'm just going to go with my gut and my intuition. What I'm sensing from these two cards here for India, two Queen cards, is that this seems to be a time where women and the power and ability of women is going to be leading the way. So a country where in places, not saying in everywhere, but in places where women are still kept under to some degree or persecuted. And I'm being shown by my guide here, which is Metatron, the crimes that are being done to women and young girls across India. And these, of course, are being done predominantly by men. So it is I'm feeling here there's a wave of female power coming in for India where women combined stand up and recognize each other as the queens that they are. So this is less about a symbolic female leader. It's more about the women of India starting to see each other as a queen. And what that means is recognizing each other's sovereignty, a word that I used the other day in another video, as well as their talent, their ability, their uniqueness, their specialness. So it's almost like a celebration of what it is to be female. So a country that hasn't necessarily celebrated what it is to be female in a large way, for some reason, one of the things that seems to come in on the back of this virus is that women seem to rise, the female energy seems to rise, and that's the first thing that's coming through. And this thing, the chess queen, because really this talks about, zoom in a little bit, this talks about trust and strategizing. It's as though the divine feminine energy in India has been waiting for this moment in time for her light to be truly seen, okay? And it's almost, I'm feeling it's though it's safe to come out into that light. It's safe to show who you really are. It's safe, or it will become safer to show who you really are. So there is just this uprising of female energy across India at this time, which for some reason seems to be linked into what is happening right now. I was reading that 1.3 billion people in India are locked down at the moment, okay, in cities, towns and villages across the country. That's an enormous number of people. The sacred union, okay, partnership and romance, the resting tree, patience and stillness. This card here, the Queen of the Light, was taking me to the Taj Mahal, and as the symbol of ultimate love. There we go, little confirmation beep that came in there. And here we've got the card of the sacred union. It feels as though for India, there's something that comes in with regard to this crisis that brings with it gifts and lessons and learning for the whole country, which is linked into the equal role, the partnership of male and female. So it's not as though the female supersedes the male, it's the fact that the male and the female stand in union with each other, with its sacred union, bringing in a completely fresh energy. These two cards here are very similar. There's just a feeling that we've been waiting for this moment. We've been waiting for this moment. This is the resting tree, patience and stillness, whilst this queen, this female, has been strategizing and waiting and trusting for her time to arrive. Okay. I'm now going to just pull some cards in terms of how the virus generally is going to affect India. And I have been going 2 weeks into the future, so we will continue to do that. So let's pull some tarot cards here. So India, 2 weeks from now. Please let us see the situation in India 2 weeks from now. And I'm going to pull 6 cards. India, 2 weeks from now. 6 cards, please. Okay. I'm not actually feeling those. They're the 5 of Wands and the Page of Cups. I'm going to put them back in. I don't know. I'm just not feeling them. If they're meant to be there, they will be there. They'll come through again. Let's just have 6 cards, please. I'd just like one at a time, if that's allowed. 6 cards for India, please. 2 weeks' time. That's the first card. That's the second card. India, 2 weeks' time. This virus. India, 2 weeks' time. This virus. Okay, there are 2 cards that want to come out there. Okay. Feel like they want to come together. 1, 2, 3, 4. India, 2 weeks from now. And then one more. India, 2 weeks from now. Bottom of the deck is the 8 of Pentacles. That may or may not become relevant. Card of hard work, standing back, having achieved something. Let's see where we're going to go. The first card is the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups. The second card is the 4 of Cups. The 3 of Cups. There's a lot of emotion here. There's a lot of watery emotion here. I'm being taken to the sacred rivers in India. I know that water plays a pivotal role in ceremony, sacred ceremony. I'm being taken to a river. It's probably the Ganges, I guess. And the cycle of life. The fact that I don't know what the equivalent would be in Hinduism or any of these other religions. I can only talk from a Christian perspective because it's what I've grown up with. So apologies for the analogy, which isn't necessarily of the relevant faith. But in Christianity, it would be, for example, baptism takes place in water. So there's something about the cycle of life with water and India, crowning the arrival of the new child with water, and then also releasing to water the death of somebody. Okay, so it's as though the waters of India, both celebrating but also mourning is what I want to say, because the 4 of Cups here is an energy where of regret, of loss, of something having to be let go, mourning something, upset about something having been lost. But then we've also got the 3 of Cups. Do you know, I feel as though in many ways India, with its wisdom and spiritual maturity, I want to say spiritual maturity, have a much better grip in terms of the cycle of life and death. And it's as though they are, I'm not saying it's not going to hurt and it's not going to be challenging, but at some level of the psyche, there's more of an acceptance of life and death and everything in between. And water seems to be the thing that just unites that. Water is the carrier. So I feel as though water is going to be used for healing and for the process of this life and death. But it's very much, even within the sadness that might arise from people dying of this virus, there is also the joy and the celebration of the babies that are being born. So, and I'm wanting to say it feels healthy. It feels healthy. It feels as though this knight here has an understanding of all that is. You know, the fact that I started this reading by saying that India as a subcontinent was the birthplace of 4 of the major world religions. Maybe that should tell us something. Maybe that should tell us something in terms of the depth and the gravitas that's there in terms of just understanding the nature of life. So that's what I'm feeling for those 3 cards. Now we had these 2 come together. What are these? Okay, it's interesting that's come upside down, you see. It's confirming what I've just said, because the 9 of Swords is a card of worry and stress and nightmares and, you know, or a high anxiety, but it's come upside down, which is saying that it's almost like it's the reverse of that. That's how I'm interpreting it with the Fool. It's as though I'm not wanting to dismiss that people may very well feel fearful there, but I'm truly feeling that the Indian people themselves have got this degree of resourcefulness, and I just want to keep saying wisdom. This upside down to me is saying that it's as though even if there's a bad day, they are able to get themselves back up the next day and start again, start a whole new cycle. Put the worries to one side and start again, and actually what Metatron is saying to me, it's not even, it's even a shorter time span than that. It's linked into, it's not just about being able to get up and put the fears and the worries to one side and then start again. It's as though they understand through some of their practices that they can do that in any one particular moment. And I'm being shown the power of the breath, which I suppose comes back down to meditation and prayer and ritual. And the ability that they seem more able to throw off the fears and some of the anxieties. It's as though they still feel them. It's an acknowledgement that they're there. But, this dragon here that sort of represents all of the, the nightmare scenario, the fear that a lot of the Western civilization are being gripped by. It's as though that it's just turned on its head. We breathe, we process, we throw it off. We just get on is what I'm wanting to say. There seems to be a model here of we just get on. Whatever life throws at us, whether it's loss or whether it's joy, we are able just to keep going. There is like this engine, there's this power engine that I'm being shown in the country that is really pretty impressive. The seven of Pentacles. We just keep on going. That's what I was just basically saying. We just keep on going. Resourcefulness. I keep hearing the word resourcefulness for India. That there's enough put by. What I mean by that is this seems to be more community minded or family minded or village minded. There's enough put by to make do. I mean, I'm very much conscious that as I'm saying this, I'm also being shown, people in poverty and people who are begging and people who have nothing. But yet it seems as though somehow there's some sort of resource there that is able to be tapped into. And it doesn't feel as though it's so much state help, which is happening in other countries, although I might be wrong there. This feels as though it's more about other people helping other people, And then we've got the Ace of Swords. Yeah, Ace of Swords. I mean, in many ways, putting 1.3 billion people into lockdown is very much an Ace of Swords type energy. It's just, let's get on with this. Let's do this. As soon as we do it and as soon as we comply, we'll be back to normal or whatever normal is, We are going to deal with this situation in the way, in the best way that we can, in a very forthright manner. And I'm shown here, this eagle or bird, whatever it is, it's got blinkers on. It looks like blinkers. And it feels as though they're going to do it their way. They're going to do it their way. But not in a very sort of arrogant way. This feels more, it's as though they're appreciating the resources that they do have to help them with this. And going back to some of these traditional remedies, Ayurvedic energies or medicine, plants, herbs, it's almost like the old traditional remedies that are passed on from family to family, things that have worked in the past, as well as more conventional things. But it's as though I'm being shown this great big treasure chest, for want of a better word, with traditional remedies in it and wisdom that's been passed down from ancestor to the present day. Okay, so this is all looking not too bad at the moment. What's the biggest challenge facing India at this time? What's the biggest challenge facing India at this time linked into this pandemic? What's the biggest challenge facing India at this time linked into this pandemic? What's the biggest challenge facing India at this time? Yeah, I was thinking that. The Four of Swords, because what I was about to say before I pulled that card is there is a fear that if we stop, we're not going to regain the place that we were arriving at in the wider economy. So India as a growing giant in terms of its prowess, its market presence, its companies which are now worldwide. I'm being shown, not many countries, Western countries that rely on outsourced resources that are actually in India, whether that be call centers or whatever else, digital companies. There's a lot of material wealth being created, a lot of new industry being created. India here being shown like a train that's just got going, and it's as though it doesn't want to lose the momentum that it's built up. It doesn't want this virus to stop it in its tracks. So that's what I feel the Four of Swords means there in relation to that. So it's a challenge for them to stop, basically. It's a challenge for them to stop. But I feel as though it's tied into commercial reasons. Obviously this is the wider collective in India. And it's as though we can't stop. What goes with that? But that is the card that says you need to. All countries need to. The Magician. Well, that's good. We've got the Magician card. And then we've got the World on the bottom of the deck as well. I just get this strong sense that the Magician is the one that has all the tools on the table. It's like we have all the tools on the table and we're serving. Remember, it comes with this card. We are now able to serve the world. We have all the tools on the table. We have resource. We have people. We have products that the world needs. And so therefore, how can we stop? How can we stop? So that's their challenge. That is their challenge. What guidance can you give there then, please, Metatron? If that's the challenge in terms of we don't feel we can stop, what guidance can you give to India at this time, please? What guidance is there for India at this time? The Nine of Cups. Okay. I'm going to interpret this card in a slightly different way to the way I have in other videos. What I'm hearing here now with this is there's enough for everybody to go round, okay? This man here always feels greedy to me, okay? He's come up before in other readings I've done recently in this series. And it's as though that if you followed through on this energy, which is that we can't stop because we've got to keep being the powerhouse, we've got to keep producing the goods. We don't want to lose our momentum. We don't want to lose where we are. We're gaining in terms of our ranking in the world, in terms of economy, etc. Then this is basically saying that's almost like a greedy type energy, because look at him. This person here is stuffing their face basically, but. Knight of Swords. Yeah, there's a battle on here. There's a battle on. So you need to put down this. You need to put this down for the moment and concentrate on the health of the nation, okay? You need to concentrate on the health of the nation. The abundance and the feast that you're wanting to bring into the country, the money, the trade, is important, but not at the expense of the people. I'd like to pull a card in terms of the government, the Indian government, and their response to this crisis. Indian government and their response to this crisis. Indian government, their response to this crisis. Indian government. The Five of Wands, that one came out earlier, didn't it? Needing to all work together, and the Knight of Wands. And the Magician. I just feel, it doesn't feel like a cocky type of arrogance or overconfidence. I'm getting the energy here, which is like, we've got this, we can do it, we can manage this. It's almost as though it's like looking at the rest of the world in sort of panic and fear. And I'm not feeling panic and fear here at all. That's not to say it's not happening at an individual level. I'm sure it is, but I'm looking at the big, wider, higher collective here. The people generally are not feeling as though they're in panic. The government is not feeling as though they're in panic. The government feels as though they feel as though we've all just got to pull together. We've got to get through this as fast as we can. We are the magician. We've got everything that we need to steer us through these times. It's a lot more optimistic than I thought it was going to be. I'm just going to light some incense, and I'm going to pull a card from the Metatron deck and see what we get. Quite interested to see what we get. Let's just bring that deck in. What have I done with it? What have I done with my own deck? Here it is. So I've pulled a card from this deck for each country. Let's just see what we get for India. So the message for India. You could say, just the message for India. Let's not put anything onto it. The message for India, please, Metatron. Message for India at this time. Healing, pause to receive. We've also got the card of love on the bottom of the pack, which went back to this thing I was talking about at the beginning. Do you remember I was saying about sacred union, love, okay, male and female, starting to recognise each other's worth. So the card of love, the pink ray, you know, the pink ray of love. But yeah, this is... the guidance from Metatron is, look, it's actually pause to receive. So it's backing up what I've just been channeling through, which is that there's this energy in India, which is like, we can't stop, we've got to keep going. And it's like, no, you need to pause to receive. Because rather than thinking you're going to lose something as an economy by stopping everything, okay, where's that one of the... I'll put it back in the deck. The one of the man who was trying to hoard everything. It's a bit similar to that energy, actually. I'm trying to hold on to what I have accrued, okay? Rather than that being in the mindset, realise that there is the most amazing gift in terms of the country pausing at this time, as there is for every country around the world. It's almost as though every country needs to hear the same message, that rather than just thinking this lockdown stroke safe harbour is something that's being done to you and it's like a penalty, realise that whatever is lost as a result from it, something else comes in, okay? So look at these rays of light, the rainbow coming in, pause to receive, okay? Couldn't be any clearer. We've had two cards that came up which were all about the need to pause and the need to be still. And I guess, you know, I've never been, as I say, to India, but I would imagine somewhere like Delhi, for example, probably never sleeps, I would imagine. A bit like a city like, I don't know, New York or Bangkok, both of which I have been to, you know, cities that just don't stop, don't ever seem to go to sleep completely. Well, I would imagine that Delhi's a bit like that as well. So it's like, no, this is a time to at least pause it as much as possible. Okay. All right. Interesting, hey. Let's just see if there's anything else to say. Any other question that I want to ask here? Let's just pull a card for the people. Let's just pull a card for the everyday people out there. Any guidance, please, for them? Everyday people in India going through this experience. The people going through this experience. That one does want to come out. Yeah, look, the Diamond Dreamer, material wealth, true prosperity. Oh, I know what's going on here. Yes, okay. So the drive towards material wealth by government, companies, maybe younger generation, certain factors in society, the drive towards materialism, basically, which is about material wealth. India is being reminded, hold on a minute, you actually know. You know better than many other nations on earth actually what true wealth is. True wealth isn't actually about money. True wealth is about an abundance of the spirit. You know, we go back to the 4 world religions being birthed there. India knows this. They know it in their core. They understand. They've got the wisdom. So it's almost like a clarion call to not pursue materialism and spirit and material advancement at the expense of what you already have. Okay, material wealth and true prosperity. It's saying true prosperity actually lies with the godliness and the sacredness and the spiritual beat that lives within you. Don't ever forget that. Okay. I don't know why, but it's just those two little, I don't know what they're supposed to be. They remind me a bit like an Egyptian energy here. And I'm sort of linking now to, you know, when Moses went up the mountain to receive the 10 Commandments, and he left the people at the bottom of the mountain, and they started to create idols, you know, from gold, and they went away from God. They were worshipping was it the golden calf, the fattened calf, something like that. My memory's not great in terms of that particular bit of the Bible, but you know, I'm just using a Christian reference here. But the truth is, it's not about Christianity. It's just about whether you are moving away from God or whether you are staying close to God. Moses went all the way up the mountain to be as close to God as anybody probably ever has been. And then he came back down to his people and they'd fallen away from God. So there seems to be some sort of message here for India, which is don't fall away from God. It doesn't matter what your God looks like. It doesn't matter actually what you believe in terms of what your faith is. It's as though really God is God, you know, whatever you want to call God, it's still God. And stay true to that God light. Don't pursue materialism at the expense of true prosperity. Wow. Yeah. Number 6, you see card number 6 is linked into the pink ray, which is also linked into Venus, the planet of love. So we've got a lot of references to love, sacred union. We've got pink, which is the energy of love. It's as though a country that hasn't always been as spiritually rich as other countries has actually had an abundance of more wealth than anybody else. And those mountains, those violet-tipped mountains in the background of this picture, you know, sort of take me straight away to the Himalayas, the mountains within India. And they're there for a reason, which is the peaks represent almost like the peak of consciousness as well. Spiritual, holy places that are on that land, and they're on that land for a reason. There's an understanding within the land there. There's an understanding within the people there of what life's truly all about. And there is it does feel like there's a greater acceptance also, going back to these cards, in terms of, remember what I was saying at the beginning, life and death. There is loss, but yet then they're able to pick themselves back up again, appreciate what they've got, and come back out and be able to find some joy, find colour, find life, find vitality. So there's a lesson in that for all of us. There's a lesson in how they deal with this whole experience for all of us. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it there. To anybody in India watching this, I send you my love. And I think all of us can maybe learn something from what's been said there. Much love. Namaste.